Hello, kindergarten. Thought today we could make slime. So before we get started, remember at any point, just pause the video. If you need to stir or you need to add different ingredients, you can rewind the video, whatever you need to do. So before I get started, just some ingredients that you'll need and some suggestions in order to reduce the mess. So don't wear like your nice clothes because there's a good chance you'll get something on you. And you'll need like a tray or something to work with the slime once we get it all mixed up in the cup. You're gonna need a container. I just have a clear plastic cup. You're gonna need something to stir with. I'm using popsicle sticks. And you'll need a half a cup measuring cup and a quarter cup. So the ingredients, you're gonna need some either white or clear glue. I'm using this Elmer's school glue, white Elmer's school glue. And you'll need warm water and a binding agent. So the binding agent that I'm using is liquid starch, and that's what's gonna bind these liquids together to turn into a solid that you can actually hold in your hand. So other binding agents are borax and saline solution. So you're gonna mix all those together. Those are the main ingredients you need to actually make the slime. Things to jazz it up would be, I like to add shaving cream, kind of make it a little more fluffy. You can also add some hand soap, and you can mix in food coloring if you want to make it a certain color. So with that, got that covered, we can go ahead and get started. Step number one, in your container, you're gonna pour your liquid glue. I already have a half a cup, 1/2 cup measured out of liquid glue. Now watch the liquid drizzle into the cup. I'm gonna get as much out as I can. And then, once your liquid glue is in your container, you can add a 1/4 cup of warm water. So I'm going to measure out a 1/4 cup of warm water to add to my liquid glue. 2 liquids added together. Oops. So at this point, that is just 2 liquids in a container. I can't hold that in my hand without it spilling all over the floor. So in order to make it a solid that you can hold without it spilling all over, you're gonna have to add your binding agent. But first, I wanna add my coloring because I just wanna have some colorful slime. I'm gonna add 3 drops of green food coloring. 1, 2, 3. And I'm gonna take my container. That's what I have at this point. I have 3 liquids in there now. Now I'm gonna mix. I'm gonna be stirring. So right now, step 1 was a 1/2 cup of glue. Step 2 was a 1/4 cup of warm water. I added food coloring and I am stirring at this point. Now, making slime takes quite a bit of stirring, so have patience with it. Get the glue off the sides and really stir that up. So then you've combined the liquids, then it'll be ready for the binding agent. So you can combine the liquids and the binding agent to work on making your solid. So I've got those combined. So now, careful with the binding agent. You want to add little bits at a time, because if you add too much binding agent, your slime will just turn into it'll turn too solid. So your molecules in your liquid are like this, and when you do the like this. When you do the binding agent, it makes them bind tighter together, like they're cross-linking, more and more links together so it's stronger. So you've got your binding agent in there. The more and more you add, the stronger it'll get. And then you'll get, instead of getting slime that you can stretch and move around, you'll get slime that just breaks apart. I mean, if that's what you want, add a ton of binding agent, but usually when we're making slime, we want to be able to play with it and stretch it. So I'm just going to go little bits at a time, add a little bit of binding agent, which is the liquid starch for me. So I'm going to start with a bit, and then here again, I added my binding agent. Now I'm stirring again. So stirring, and I already see that it's starting to stick to my popsicle stick. So the liquids are binding together with that binding agent. Now, remember, your binding agent can be liquid starch, like I've used, or borax or saline solution. And so you'll probably, what you're going to end up having to do, like I'm going to do right now, I'm going to add some more binding agent because I would not be able to hold this in my hand. It's still, the molecules are not bound together tightly enough yet. So I'm going to add more, and I'm going to continue to stir. And I feel it getting more and more solid. Yeah. It's starting to stick together. It's binding together, sticking together. Ooh. So now it's turning more into slime. So you can see it's stretching out. Now, I want to try to add some shaving cream. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some shaving cream to kind of make it more of a fluffy slime. So I'll get that piece off. I'm going to shake it up, and try and put some shaving cream in there. And see, you will get messy. So I'm going to mix in this shaving cream and hope that it helps my slime get like a more of a cloudy, fluffy effect. Ooh, it's really sticking together now. It's really binding together. Whoa. I gotta get the bottom. It's all binding on the top. Now I gotta dig down deep in there and get the bottom slime. Ooh. Okay. So now is where it gets messy. So now that it's in my cup and it's really bound together, turning into slime, I'm going to put it on my tray so I can knead it with my hands so it really gets all those molecules bound together. So I'm going to blob it out onto my tray. And I'm going to scrape some more out. And I'm going to start kneading it on my tray. So, as you can see, it gets messy. And it's going to be sticky to your hands. But if you feel like you need to add more binding agent, do that. Like, I think this is, it's nice and gooey, but I think I want a little more tightly bound. So I'm going to try and clean off part of my hand so I can grab onto my liquid starch, which is the binding agent, and add a little more. Okay, I'm gonna just go for it. So I'm going to add a little more. Let's try and do it so you guys can see. There we go. I just added a little bit, and now I'm going to continue to mix it together on the tray. Ooh, yeah, it's already getting more tightly bound. Oh, it's going on the floor. You're going to have to clean up your mess after this too. There we go. So it's really, It's getting more firm. And I've got it, it's kind of has some fluff to it because I added that shaving cream. But you don't need to add the shaving cream, that's just optional. That's one of the optional ones, but the necessary parts to make the slime is the glue, warm water, and binding agent. So, I'm gonna go ahead and just call this good. That's the slime I'm gonna have because I've made plenty mess and it's getting all over me. So I hope that you can watch this video and have some fun with science and make your own slime. Bye.